Hi there, fellow beaders. It's JP again, and today is day 2 of the earring challenge. I hope you guys enjoyed day 1, and let me show you what I have in store for day 2. I'm going to just come up a little bit closer. I will have a close-up of this on the bead mat, of course, so you guys can really see what it is. These are very shiny and super sparkly, and I use the same beads. Well, the same bead shapes, I should say. I did not use the exact same beads. I use 11/0 seed beads, super duos, and bicones. And just based on the number of beads that I used, I got a completely different pair of earrings. Isn't that amazing about beading? Like, it's just infinite, the amount of stuff that you can come up with, and it all has to do with your imagination. Well, I hope that these kind of get your imagination going and that you really have fun with these. These also do not take very long to make. These take a little bit longer than the earrings from day 1, the Christmas tree earrings, but I'm not talking a lot longer. And they look so much more complicated. So here's a close-up, and they look so much more sophisticated and complicated to make, but they're not. They're actually gonna be really easy. But when you show them to your family and friends, they're gonna be very impressed because they look more difficult to make than they really are. And don't tell them that you watch a tutorial. Just say, this is your own design. Okay, well, let's get started. And again, feel free to share, link up, tell other people about it, and enjoy. Okay, so here's a close-up of the earrings, and what you are going to need are 4mm bicones, and the bicones that I'm using are sapphire. Swarovski sapphire is the color. You'll need the Apollo gold superduo, or if you want, you don't need to use the same colors I'm using, but if you're wondering what colors I use, then for the superduos it's the Apollo gold that I used here, and for these are Toho 11/0 seed beads, and they are transparent dark topaz number 26C. Anyway, so that's what you need in terms of beads. You'll need a couple of ear wires of your choice. I have 2 of my gold ones here, and I actually used wildfire thread, 0.006 green. You need about maybe a little more than 2 feet per earring, maybe 2.5 feet. It's because it depends on how much you reinforce. I tend to reinforce a little bit and not a great deal, so it just kind of comes to that. And that's it. So let's get started. So to get started, what you're going to do is pick up 4 11/0s and 4 bicones in this order. So it's got to be alternating, and then what we're going to do is just tie a knot. So your overhead square knot. And this is what you should get. Simple. What you're going to do now is go through the bicone that's closest to the knot and the 11/0 that's right after that. This should pop the knot into the bicone, and then we are going to exit out of this next bicone. And now you pick up 3 of the superduos, and you go back through that same bicone that the thread's coming out of. Like so. Then go through the 11/0 and through the bicone, and you pick up 3 more superduos, and you go back around just the bicone. Make sure there's very little slack in your thread. So you want a nice tight weave here. So you definitely want to keep it tight. And we're going to repeat what we just did for the last 2 bicones here. So I just went through the 11/0 and the bicone, and I'm going to now pick up my 3 superduos. And by the way, just as a reminder, make sure you check the holes of your superduos, because I missed one earlier when I was making the mate tier, and I had to undo quite a bit of work to change it out. I couldn't get the hole opened up no matter what I did. So anyway, here's the last one. And this is what you should have at this point. All right, I'm just going to turn the work because my wrist will be much happier working in this direction. And you want to go back up through all 3 of the superduos. So, like so, pull so the thread is staying. No, you have no loose thread there. You are going to see a little bit of thread right now, but over here, but that's normal, and that should disappear as we continue working. So now what you're going to do is go into the upper hole of this one, and again I'm going to flip the work just so I can work in this direction a little bit easier. And I want to make sure my tail thread here doesn't get caught in the loop, which is what it's doing. Get the tail out of the way, and there we are. Now we're going to go all the way around and fill up each gap with a superduo. So, superduo, pick one up and go through the next superduo. Then do it again, superduo, and go into this next one. And that's all we're going to do all the way around. Just go through and add superduos in between. So, not the most exciting part of this tutorial. Oops, and I can't seem to hold on to my work either. All right, just a couple more. My last superduo, and I go into this piece here. Now, one of the things you may notice is that as you start to pull on it, it's going to start to cup. And that's exactly what you want, because if you recall from this has actually got a little bit of a cup shape to it. Or what is this, concave? Yeah, it's got a concave shape to it. I'm forgetting my words. So you want to go ahead and pull on it. And then what you want to do is go through all of these until you come out of this superduo. Now, one of the things you want to note, and let's see if I can open it up, is that this superduo here, this one here, and then this one, and the one way over here. So basically it's a superduo that's sitting above the seed beads, and that's how you can find them, is what we're going to work with next. And so I just want to make sure you don't get confused. And they're actually sitting a little bit lower than these over here. That was added between these groups that were sitting on the bicone. So you want to make note of the superduos and where their location is. So they're basically in line with the seed beads. All right. So we need to get to this one over here because that's the one that we're gonna now be able to turn and work with the other hole with that. So I'm just gonna go through all these superduos here in this group, and I'm tugging as I'm going because I'm tightening. And I probably should have used different colored superduos maybe to set it apart for you, but you guys are smart. I know you'll be able to figure this out. So grab this superduo here and go through that upper hole, the other hole of that superduo. Then pick up an 11-0. Look for the next superduo that has that requirement of being above the seed bead. And I'm going to take this and turn it and push it to the front. There, that gets it out of the way. So, got your 11-0. So here's a superduo that's above or in line with that seed bead here. It's this one. So, go through the hole, open hole of that one, and bring them together. Like so. Don't worry, they'll come together a little bit better once we get them all there. So now I pick up another 11-0 and I find the other one. So here's that other one. Here's my seed bead, and the one above that is right there. And I'm going to go through it. So this is what you should be getting. And do it again. Here is my seed bead here. So it's this superduo. And we need to connect this last one together with this one here. So another 11-0 and just go through that superduo. And now you just tighten, and that's what you get. Now if you look, that's what it looks like, and that's our back. And that's what we've done here. So now I'm going to reinforce this, and this will tighten it up further, so you won't see that coming loose the way it is. So I've just gone through 3 beads. See, and now it doesn't come loose. So go through as many as you can at a time. All right, and now I'm going to go through these last 2 and then I can be done. Because basically I made my way all the way around. These beads are super shiny, so I hope that you guys are able to see and the shininess isn't completely blocking, making it too blurry for you. And let's see, I'm just going to play with the lighting a little bit, see if that contrast is better. All right, so now your thread is exiting out of a superduo here. So we are going to switch and go into the upper hole of that superduo, or the other hole, I should say. I guess it's not really up or down. And if you can, go through the next superduo. You may not be able to just because of the angle that you're coming out. And so, let's see, there we go. And then go through the next 2 superduos. And again, you may not be able to go through both, it just depends on the angle the needle aligning with the two holes. All right, so now I'm going to flip the work. So this is what your piece should look like at this point. This is going to be the front. And then this is our back, and you can see it's already got some shape to it. So now we're going to switch over here and go into this other hole here. So now you'll see that this gap here is bigger than the gap here. So for this, the large gap, we are going to pick up the 11-0, a bicone, and another 11-0, and then go through this next superduo. Then, for this one with the smaller gap, you just pick up a bicone. And you'll be alternating this all the way around, and make sure you're giving this a tug, because we got to shape this. Then for the next one, since it's a bigger gap, you'll need the 11-0s on either side of the bicone. And this time it's just a bicone by itself. And again, we need the bigger gap here, or we have a bigger gap, so we need more. So 11-0, bicone, 11-0. Now it's just a bicone by itself. Then again, bigger gap, so we need a 11-0, bicone, 11-0. And last one, just a bicone. And you can go through a few more of the other beads. You go through the superduo, and then you can go through the next 3 or 4 beads if you want, because we are going to reinforce this whole thing. And there it is. There's your shape. So what you want is for it to look like this, which is where we are here. We have one more last thing to do, is to make this ear wire here. So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and reinforce this. And just go through the beads a few at a time. Okay, there we are. So I want to exit out of a bicone, but I want to make sure that it's not just any old bicone. It has to be the lone bicone and not the bicone surrounded by seed beads. So let me just get through this and then I'll explain it better. Okay, so you should have somewhat of a diamond shape to this. It's not quite going to be completely sort of diamond-y. It's almost got like a circular diamond-y shape to it. But these beads should, there should be a little bit of a point. So it's this bead over here, this bicone here, and these 2 bicones here. So you can kind of see that they're forming a diamond shape. Anyway, you want to exit out of one of these. It doesn't matter which one of those four. Just has to be one of those and not one of these here that is got seed beads on either side of it. Because then you'll have more of a square. So the earrings, you're perfectly welcome to do it that way if you prefer this orientation as opposed to this orientation. Doesn't really matter. So now what you're going to do is pick up 3 11-ohs, a bicone, 3 11-ohs, bicone, and 3 more of our 11-ohs or 11-aughts. I don't know. Is that I always say 11-ohs, and I think one person had commented a while back on one of my YouTube videos that it's peculiar that I say it that way, but whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. 11-aught seed beads. Okay. So, this is what you should get. Now, we're going to go through the beads again, but this time what you're going to do is you're going to skip the middle seed bead in each of these groups of 3. So I'm going to go into this next seed bead, and I'm going to try my best to skip the middle one. There we go. And now I'm going into the 3rd one there. And what you want to make sure is this seed bead kind of pops up and gives you the little point. Then continue up through the bicone and the next seed bead. We're going to skip this one, the middle seed bead there, and continue down through this seed bead and possibly the bicone if I can get it aligned. So again, I want this to pop up. So if it doesn't pop up right away, just use your needle, pull it up, and then give the tail, or the thread, not the tail, the thread a good tug. And we repeat. Go through just the seed bead. And skip the 11-oh. In the middle and go through that 3rd one. And I'm just going to give that a tug. And there we go. And go through the bicone. And that gives it a little bit better of a shape. It's got that, kind of matches the shape of the other part of this. And so we're basically done with the earring. All we have to do is tie off. So you can reinforce and go through this again. I feel like it's pretty secure, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I am going to go through this superduo and the 11-oh here and do some half-hitch knots. I usually like to do 2 or 3. So I'm going to do a half-hitch knot between the 11-oh and the bicone. And then go through the next few beads. And repeat. Do another knot over here between the superduo and the bicone now. I'm only doing a basic half-hitch knot. Okay, and I'm going to take the knot through my bicone here. Okay, one more knot and then we will be done. So, go through the next couple beads like I am doing here. And now I'm just going to go through the beads and weave the thread away and cut the thread. Okay, and I'm using wire cutters to cut my thread, but it actually gives me a closer cut sometimes than my scissors. All right, one last thing, we got to add our ear wires, and I forgot to take them out. So I'm just going to do that real quick. Grab these from the little bag, get a pair. So, depending on your ear wire, you may need jump rings, you may not, so it just depends. There's one. And here is number 2. So, what do you guys think? Cute, right? And here's the back. So, I think these are a lot of fun to make. I hope. And they make up really quickly. I mean, you saw I made up one earring in probably about 25 minutes. So, you can probably do these in under an hour. So, anyway. And I say so a lot. Okay, so I do apologize for that. And so, and oh, I'm terrible. But this isn't scripted, so I'm just making up the words as I go. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this, and this was day 2. I've got 3 more designs coming for you.